The Rational Debunker. Up until a few weeks ago, I'm sure, like many of you, I had no idea who the Rational Debunker was, but I've since come to learn a few things about him. The Rational Debunker is a YouTube film critic, as he would call himself, who has a substantial following of young children, mainly male, that follow and do pretty much anything he wants them to do. They are very, very, very passionate fans, and he knows that very, very, very well. Even deciding to call them his disciples. Mainly, his channel is made up of content that is about film and talking about film and reviewing film, but he occasionally veers into debunking people and talking about politics and general reaction and debunking videos. I was at the mercy of one of these videos. There is something quite insidious about the Rational Debunker, and today I am here to tell you what that something is. My name is the Caffeinated Critic, and I am here to debunk the Rational Debunker's innocence today. Now, let's get the obvious out of the way. The Rational Debunker and I do not have a very cordial relationship, so to speak. He started his video by attacking me relentlessly. Now, I'm not going to get into that today. I already talked about it in a response video that I've since regretted posting but didn't want to take down for the sake of being transparent. However, I am going to be talking about the debunker's recent behavior on a podcast. While this podcast is fairly disturbing, it is not, and I have to stress this, it is not the first time the debunker has been aggressive or generally mean or insensitive to me or others like me. From the very first video he posted about me, he had a tone of aggression and a tone of superiority and a very, very palpable tone of being threatening and perhaps even being violent. But no matter, let's get on to the podcast. The podcast is known as Interviews with Daddies. It's hosted by a YouTuber that has been hosting the podcast for several years and has made a name for herself as someone who specializes in interviews and perhaps asking the tough questions. Her name is Jewel Mommy, and I'm not sure why exactly she thought the debunker was a good candidate for her podcast, but despite that, she brought him on the show and things got heated. Now, I feel like the structure of this video needs to be as follows: a list of all the evidence that I have compiled, and then my argument. I need to do this to make sure that someone like the Rational Debunker or one of his disciples does not feel like it is appropriate or even acceptable or even plausible to attack me, harass me, or do anything to harm me or my video and take away from the evidence that I am providing here, because this is important. I am doing something important and they will stop at nothing to try and silence me. Jewel Mommy starts the podcast trying to keep it sort of light. From the very get-go, you can tell that the debunker is not happy to be there just from the tone of his voice. But nonetheless, they talk about anything that the debunker has been watching, and troublingly, he brings up Stranger Things Season 4.
I haven't watched any movies recently. I just finished Stranger Things season 4. And I really dig nostalgia. I think nostalgia tells us a lot about our culture.
Right.
And something about all that 80s fashion just really did it for me. I think Stranger Things is one of the sexiest TV shows out there,
The tone of this conversation is a little off. They don't talk about the show's amazing writing, the fantastic cinematography, the lovable characters, nothing that a normal media outlet would talk about. And the Debunker does steer the tone of this conversation. It is not on Jewel Mommy where this conversation goes. The Debunker immediately brings sex into his love for the show. He calls the 80s and nostalgia for the 80s, quote, sexy, calling it even the sexiest TV show out there. And on a certain level, I can respect that. However, it gets even more troubling when you realize exactly who he finds sexy. Jewel Mommy asks him about David Harbour, a famous heartthrob since Stranger Things has started to air. And the Debunker's response is troubling, to say the least.
Well, maybe not Hopper. I think David... What's his name? David Harbour. David Harbour is he's a good action hero. He's a good leading man. He's got that new movie coming up where he plays this badass Santa. I wouldn't call him sexy, no.
Despite Harbour's status as a symbol of male sexuality and male vitality, the Debunker seems to have no interest in him, which makes you ask, who is he attracted to? I'm not saying anything, but you can think for yourself. Something that the Debunker urges his fans to do, and yet obviously does not want others to follow, given how he reacts when Jewel Mommy brings up the allegations.
First of all, let's not call it allegations, okay? Allegations is a really big word, and I don't think that even... It's stupid drama. It's stupid, petty bullshit drama brought on by this fucking caffeinated critic guy who I didn't even hear about this guy until
And for anyone who doesn't know this already... so the caffeinated critic accused Mr. Debunker here of being a pedophile. I'm just saying that so everyone knows, the basic context. Okay.
Well, first of all, if you were to accurately categorize it, it would actually be ephebophilia, which is a lot different than pedophilia. You see, ephebophilia is specifically the attraction to minors. Yes, they are underage, but specifically to teenage bodies, not childlike bodies.
So that's the one you have?
No. I'm just trying to clarify it for the audience, and you're trying to make sure they were accurately informed, and that's what I'm trying to do.
So that's what he's accusing you of, not necessarily what you have. Is that what you mean?
I wouldn't even call it accusing, because he has no fucking evidence. He's just this fucking, this dopey little nerdy fucking geeky twerp, who makes bullshit reviews. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, He didn't even know how vacuum was spelled correctly, it's just really dumb that it's even gotten this far, because there's nothing of substance here.
The Debunker is hesitant to talk about these allegations, which on one hand is suspect, but on the other hand might be reasonable, even respectable. However, it seems that he is even uncomfortable with the word allegations. This suggests some sort of denial that the Debunker is going through, and perhaps some sort of multiple personality disorder or bipolar disorder that he may have. He goes so far as to refuse to speak, and he will not, under any circumstance, defend himself. Because, well, you can figure that one out for yourself. His tone throughout the entire conversation is much like the rest of his videos directed towards me. Violent, angry, upset, sinister. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist. However, as someone who took Psychology 101 at my local community college, I do have some sort of expertise in this area. It seems to me that the debunker is suffering from some sort of schizophrenia, perhaps even anxiety disorder or depression, but most likely some sort of disorder that makes him extremely angry, like sociopathy or psychopathy, perhaps even CBT or syphilitic dementia. These ideas are brought to a head when it seems like the debunker, in a paranoid fit of rage and distrustfulness and panic, decides to attack the fine men and women that wear the blue.
It's like when the police drag you into an interrogation room and they say, hey, we have somebody who can place you at the scene. But it's all bullshit, you know? It's just it's an interrogation strategy. It's meant to intimidate, and it's meant to, like, you know, like coerce you, to trick you into a false confession. And I'm not going to give a false confession.
He decides to talk about how he hates the due process, and he loves being a criminal, and he hates the police, and the police are out to get him. These are obviously the ravings of a paranoid madman. But I cannot say. You have to decide for yourself. The conversation continues, even going so far as the debunker saying there's nothing to see here, obviously trying to deny the situation entirely. But when pressed further, the debunker admits to lying. Jewel Mommy explicitly asks him, "Are these the things you have done?" Hear for yourself the debunker's confession.
Sure.
You've heard it for yourselves, folks. I truly do not believe that I have to say any more to convince you that the rational debunker is guilty of the crimes that he is being accused of. Guilty of the immoral and sick acts that he is accused of, okay? But if you're still not convinced, and you somehow think that a straight up confession to a reputable source like Jewel Mommy, if you somehow think that that is not enough, if you think that that is just internet noise, well, let me tell you this. I have testimony. I have proof. I have images. I have receipts. I have actual messages between the rational debunker and a fan. A former disciple of the rational debunker telling me exactly the crimes that the debunker himself has committed. I will not be saying a name, a username, or anything that may put this person's identity at risk. However, their testimony to me is instrumental in my case against the rational debunker. This person was a former fan of the debunker, a former disciple. After watching his heinous review of my review of Vacuum, this fan realized the errors of his ways and decided to become a caffeinated critic barista. Now, this person had a very odd relationship online with the rational debunker, and has provided me with evidence of this relationship through screenshots of text messages, timestamps, and even photos that the debunker took of himself to this fan, proving that they had this connection. Their first interaction was a series of DMs over Instagram. On February 3rd, 2022 at 1 p.m. The fan messages the debunker. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I really like your videos! ! You've been a huge inspiration to me, and you're kind of cute. The debunker messages back. Oh my gosh, thank you. I try super hard on my vids. Your support means the world to me, especially from someone as cute as you. Ha ha ha, JK. Unless? Eyes emoji. The fan messages back. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I never thought you would respond. That's crazy. The debunker messages back. You couldn't keep me away if you tried, winky face. Hey, just looked through your profile. You seem very cool. Would you like to exchange numbers? Naturally, the fan was very excited and messaged back, sure, and sent the debunker their number. This fan, at the time of their interaction with the rational debunker, was underage. This started a nearly 5-month-long interaction between the two. The fan tells me that at one point during 2022, they would talk nearly every single day. One specific interaction is one where the debunker pleads with the fan to come over to his house and watch some of his favorite movies with him. The debunker. WYDBB. The fan. Not much, what's up? The debunker. 3. Well, I was wondering if you'd maybe want to come over and watch some of my favorite movies with me. The fan. What are your favorite movies? The debunker. 1. Right parenthesis. Call Me by Your Name. Great film. Timothée Chalamet is so cute. 2. Right parentheses. Leon the Professional. Natalia Portman is so badass. 3. Right parentheses. Lolita. Period. Kubrick. Period. Nuff said. Period. In the next conversation, the debunker takes it up a notch. The debunker. Hey, I heard about something fun. You want to do it? Winky face emoji. The fan. Yeah, sure, what is it? The debunker. I tell you pickup lines, and you tell me if they make you blush. Nerd emoji. The fan. Smiley face. Okay, try me. The debunker. Are you Macaulay Culkin? Because I want to be home alone with you. The fan. OMG! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Stop! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Skull emoji. The debunker. Right parentheses. The debunker. Are you Andy from Toy Story? Because I want to be a friend in you. The fan. OMG, lol, so forward. The debunker. Did you win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film in 2015? Because I want to turn you inside out. The fan. OMG, gross, lol. The debunker. Semicolon, right parentheses, semicolon, right parentheses, semicolon, right parentheses. Ha 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 ha, you know you like it. Another interaction involves the fan asking to see a picture of the debunker's Blu-ray collection. The fan. Hey, can I see your Blu-ray collection? I'm trying to see if you have anything that I don't. The debunker. Sure, semicolon, right parentheses. The debunker then sends a picture. These are only some, I repeat, only some of the many inappropriate conversations that the debunker had with this fan. I cannot stress how disturbed I was about the nature of the content of these conversations. All of this evidence combined is enough, in my mind, to prove that the rational debunker is not who he says he is. He hides a much darker, much more insidious, sinister, and disgusting, perverse persona underneath the mask that he provides to the public. The rational debunker is not a rational person. This is just the truth based on the evidence that I have just presented. First off, the personal attacks that he threw towards me are not rational at all. Do you see a man like Ben Shapiro personally attacking their opponents on the debate field? I don't think so. The rational debunker prides himself on being a rational debatist, and his behavior in those videos proves that he is no such thing. Secondly, his love of Stranger Things Season 4, and based on that, most of the other things he likes and all of his opinions in his reviews are based on his own personal emotion. In this case, his carnal desires, because he believes that Stranger Things is sexy. I mean, he thinks that Stranger Things is sexy not because of David Harbour, which would be a rational opinion, but because of the 80s. What does that even mean? What the freaking heck? A decade is not something sexual or sexy. I think the rational debunker needs to get his freaking head examined. Thirdly, when asked about the allegations by Jewel Mommy, instead of debating, he became irrationally upset, throwing a little temper tantrum like a little baby. That is not rational. The most gifted debatists of our time, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Logan Paul, they would all agree the rational debunker's behavior is not worthy of the title that he has given himself. And he does not watch movies. What? What does that even mean? He doesn't watch movies, but he's a movie reviewer? He claims to want to cleanse his palate for Vietnam and the film festival he's going to see there. Yet, he wants to partake in the hospitality and culture? Ding, 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 ding. That does not seem like cleansing his palate. In fact, that seems almost gluttonous, if you ask me. And when he says he wants to be treated hospitably, it does not make sense at all, because he says he wants to be treated hospitably by small children. Hello? Have you ever met small children? Small children literally say the dumbest things in the entire world, okay? Hey, rational debunker. Would you like to ask my 5-year-old cousin his opinion on Citizen Kane? BTW, he poops his fucking pants. Sound like anybody you know? I think so. It sounds like you, buddy. And also, just little things, like during the interview with Jewel Mommy, he corrects her, mansplaining that pedophilia is not the same thing as ephebophilia. Obviously, he has researched pedophilia. What possible purpose could he have for doing that? Obviously, once he heard my accusations, he tried desperately hard to find a way to create a straw man argument in which he could defy me and make me look like an idiot. That is how petty this rational debunker truly is. He is a monster, and by no means is he rational. And everyone, let's talk about the real elephant in the room. just like Jewel Mommy attempted to before Mr. Debunker rudely interrupted her and denied these accusations. The text messages that we received from the former rational disciple are a nail in the coffin. Let's look back on those. First of all, his favorite movies are not even in the IMDb Top 100. How can he possibly call himself a movie fan? A cinephile, if you will, if his favorite films are not even in the top 25 of the IMDb Top 100. His behavior is truly despicable. And the pickup lines that he sent to that fan are so emotionally damaging to that fan that I cannot even begin to say how sorry I am for him. Home Alone? Really? Christmas and My Grandma Called. They want their shitty movie back. Inside Out? You've got to be kidding me. That is a mid-tier Pixar movie, and any true cinephile would know this. That is just a goddamn fact. And I know I skipped Toy Story, but truly, Mr. Debunker, it disgusts me how you would use such heinous, disrespectful, and evil language towards a childhood classic of mine like Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4. Truly disgusting behavior. And let's not forget the worst picture of them all, folks. Rational Debunker, your behavior in this photograph disgusts me. This photo makes me feel like the entire medium of photography was a mistake. And overall, I cannot express how sickened I am that he would send this to an impressionable young fan and abuse the power he has over him like that. I truly cannot believe it. Mr. Debunker, how dare you keep your goddamn DVDs with your Blu-rays? If you are asking me about it, Blu-rays play at 1080p high definition, and he is lumping them together with standard DVDs, which I do not have a problem with normally, as long as they are kept and displayed separately. They play at a standard definition. It is disgusting to me as a cinephile to see him be so negligent and to take so little care of something he claims to care so much about. Now, you may be asking yourself, how does this make him irrational? And if you are asking yourself that question, you are obviously not a fan of cinema. Because a true cinephile, a real, objective, true cinephile would care about quality and the quality of the image. And the difference between those qualities that a Blu-ray and a standard DVD present. Obviously, the rational debunker does not care. And that is truly disgusting, that he would lie to all his disciples, all his fans, and the entire internet for years about his rationality, when it is so clearly a lie. And trust me, everyone, in my disgust, in my anger, and in my quest to bring positivity, ingenuity, and true entertainment happiness to this platform, I know you may feel that I have neglected to talk about what's really going on with the rational debunker and his fan. What truly lies beneath the surface. I hear that, and I agree with you. This video has been hard for me to write, hard for me to record, and once I start editing, I know it will be hard for me to edit too. The acts that the rational debunker has forced me to expose to the world, to the public, to the internet as a whole, truly make me shudder. They make me deeply, deeply, deeply uncomfortable. And in all honesty, I considered not making this video. Not out of fear of him, because I do not fear that man. I hesitated. I hesitated because of one simple factor. The mental wear it would cause for me. Having to think and work and talk about this day in and day out. But despite this, despite any anguish it may cause my soul, I know that it is simply the right thing to do. It is simply what I would want done for my children, for my friends' children, and for any children children that would ever exist. Because how a society treats their children is representative of how their society is as a whole. But at the end of the day, no matter how much anguish it causes me, no matter the repercussions it causes me personally, physically, mentally, or spiritually, I know in my heart that this is the right thing to do. And for me, I don't know about the rational debunker, and I don't know about others on this platform, but for me, the caffeinated critic, I know in my heart that it is the right thing to do, and it is important to uphold the truth and to uphold justice and to uphold the American way, no matter what could possibly happen to me, because that's not important. Things like that are not important to a hero. The fact is, the truth is, and I cannot withhold the truth any longer. The truth is, the rational debunker is abusing, manipulating, and taking advantage of the numerous, impressionable, young, malleable, innocent, youthful, precious, underage, pure, moral, virtuous, decent, sinless, upright, and above all, blameless American children who have become victims of his mental abuse by forcing them to like the shittiest goddamn movies imaginable. He is poisoning the minds of our youths by making them like experimental, esoteric schlock made by Frenchmen, made by pretentious, rich Frenchmen that have no regard for the American sensibility. Is that who you want speaking to your children every single day over text message? I think not. I think not. I'm sorry to get so emotional. I know the rational debunker would hate that. But hypocritically, he has been as unrational as I am being right now, and my irrationality is only to prove that point. Thank you for watching. Let's change.